everyone. I will ask for at least for the beginning of the event, before we start live streaming, that we have only the speakers and the moderator with videos on. Please don't get me wrong. I really love to see more faces, but it's better for the live stream that people understand who are the speakers. And then you can turn your cameras on throughout the discussion, because anyway, we will have more interactive panel. So Spend, the same applies to you. I'm sorry, I will need your sign maybe in the chat box that we can start, but your video should be off if possible. So
it's even better to have my video, because my face being on the technical side will be very awkward. Thanks for that. I'm starting live streaming, so I'm preparing it. I will talk again when the live streaming is on.
Great. For everyone joining, we are starting the live stream and the event in about a minute or a few seconds. Please keep your videos off. We would like only the speakers and the moderator to be on screen at the moment, but throughout the event, you will be encouraged to turn your videos on one more time. At the moment, please, videos off, especially for the lovely faces of Ivana and Valmir. We would love the speakers and the moderator to mark the main stage, kind of. And we are still waiting for a green light by Spend from Balkan Green Foundation that we are live streaming, so we can kick off with the welcome.
We are going live.
Great.
For maybe 5 to 10 seconds, I will give the green light. I will say we are live immediately. We are live preparing. Down. We are live.
The countdown has ended and now we are live. Welcome everyone to the online event dedicated to green businesses, the future of the Balkans. For those of you who had the chance to actually read through the short description of the event, you will probably know that the title is not a question, but more of a statement. So the people that gathered to speak about this topic, but also the partners behind this event, they truly believe that green businesses are the future of the Balkans. However, in the next 90 minutes, we will be able to question that statement as well, or at least to discuss different elements and layers of meaning and content. What does that really mean, or where do we stand at the moment, and what should we look forward to in the future? With me today, I have 3 exceptional speakers, and they are not only exceptional because they redefine the role of women in the Balkans, but they are also exceptional because they walk the talk in every field of their life and career. They are connected, maybe not necessarily to green entrepreneurship, but social entrepreneurship as such very much. They are also in their own capacity supporting the development of the ecosystem in the region. And the 3 of them have a lot of unique experiences to share. And I promise you, they will share lived experiences only and not theories and practices that they've read in different reports and books. Not that those are not valuable. We will have a lot of links to share with you and a lot of knowledge, hopefully coming also from the audience that is today with us. One thing I want to mention before we go into a round of introductions of the speakers is actually the point of how can you engage with us if you're part of the audience. We are aware that several major organizations and players and opinion makers in the region are with us today. I'm very happy to see all of you, at least your names. As the discussion develops, I will encourage you to turn your videos on. I will encourage you as well to really share your thoughts and questions, whether in the chat box on Zoom or if you're watching us on Facebook, in the comments in the live stream. We have Spend and a whole team of Balkan Green Foundation following very closely all your reactions and comments on social media. But if you want, there will be a link shared in the social media channel as well that will guide you to Zoom. And it's good to be in Zoom with us today, simply because we have some interaction and engagement statements where we will probably just launch a few sentences where you would be able to answer with yes, no, or somewhat agreeing with some of these statements. And through that, we will also sense a little bit the kind of a temperature check in the audience around these statements related to green businesses in the Balkans. With that kind of interaction, we will also inspire and encourage our speakers to comment on those statements, share from their experience what can be done to actually improve some of these circumstances. And at the same time, we also hope to hear some opposing opinions. So if you have opinions that differ from what we are talking about today, please be brave enough, don't be a stranger. We are open to any kind of opinions, and any thought you have, any question is really valid for us. I made a little bit of a sign that can remind you how you can best engage with us. And please follow the Zoom polls, check the chat box, and as well, make sure that you are on Facebook comments or doing some pluses in the chat box when something is said that really resonates with you. One thing I miss a lot about online events is audience applause. And that's why I'm always mentioning these pluses or yes, yes, or something that you could react in the chat box, so we can get the speakers as well a little bit the feedback that they are probably that they would be excited about. With that said, I think I will move forward with actually introducing the three speakers. I have the pleasure of knowing them, some of them longer than others, but actually quite exciting times as well in preparing for this event. So I'm here to welcome first Tanja Bjelanović. I believe she's based at the moment in Belgrade, and Tanja is someone that I would definitely call a truly regional powerhouse of impact. She knows many people, worked with many civil society organizations, foundations, governmental agencies, anything, you name it, anything that is any stakeholder that actually needs to make some kind of system change or is fighting for whether human rights or green activism or social entrepreneurship, I believe has come across the name of Tanja Bjelanović. Today she is with us because she has done the evaluation and monitoring of the Balkan Green Academy, the first edition of the academy that happened regionally across several countries, thanks to Balkan Green Foundation, Balkan Trust for Democracy, and USAID. And actually, Tanja will also bring a lot of her knowledge when it comes not only to the region, but to the capacity building, skills, competencies, and entrepreneurial or green activism area in the region. Tanja, thank you for joining us. Hello. This would be a moment to say just hi. Don't go longer.
Thank you. Hi, and thank you, Bistra.
Thank you, Tanja, as well. The second person I will introduce is someone that is dear to my heart also because she's based in my home country, Irina Tosheva, based in Skopje. She's the green entrepreneur that walks the talk. Maybe she would not be described as a green entrepreneur if you ask her first who she is, but she's definitely someone that redefines the meaning of fashion. She is a fashion designer, but with a twist, and that twist is actually aligned with Planet Earth. How is it actually for a woman to run a business in the Balkans? And on top of that, to be aware and try to listen to the silent partner, which is Planet Earth. How do you combine these two? We will learn from Irina. Irina, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for the invitation, and hello, everyone.
And the third, again, woman. I'm so proud that we have an all-female panel on Earth Day related to this topic. My pleasure to introduce Adela Ramić, who is coming. She's based in Sarajevo at the moment. She's currently working as the business development analyst in Mosaic Foundation, one of the leading foundations for social entrepreneurship and green entrepreneurship in the Balkans. I'm very lucky to have Adela here because her background comes from retail banking. She has been assessing the creditworthiness of small and medium enterprises, probably in the country, I imagine only in Bosnia. But it's very interesting that when a person with that kind of credibility also has in the background journalism, very interesting, and combines all of these skills and competencies now to focus them on social, green, and actually creating a different ecosystem and understanding of businesses and entrepreneurship. Adela, thank you for being with us today as well.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Bistra, for this really beautiful introduction. And I send you all regards from today, cloudy Sarajevo. I hope you have better weather.
Thank you, Adela. I think that with this said, we have kind of paved the road to a very exciting type of an event. And as I promised, we will be having chances for the audience to engage with us throughout. But in the beginning, except hi, I would like to also invite the speakers to share a short introduction of them by finishing a sentence that starts with, I love green businesses because. So in the sequence, like I introduced you, I will ask you, Tanja, Irina, and Adela, to try to say something about yourself in this direction.
So I I appreciate it and like green businesses because I hope that they bring a hope to our not so friendly environment in which we live in. That's an official answer from me. But because Bistra, you said we can be spontaneous and unofficial, so I have the other one. Actually, my favorite part of accessory is these cotton bags with nice prints. So I like to wear them instead of plastic bags, and that's why I also like green.
Thank you, Tanya. Very honest answer, and thank you for sharing such a personal detail. Irina.
Well, I would say that I love green businesses because they treat Earth Day and planet Earth like it's every day it's Earth Day, because we know today it's Earth Day. So that's my quote about.
A powerful one as well. Thank you, Irina. Thank you. Not an easy task though, but we'll get to that as well. Adela, how about you?
I love green businesses because I think that green businesses and green entrepreneurship is the only way to grow in future. And my personal motivation comes from that I'm mother of two. My daughter is 10 and my son is 7. And I'm really concerned about their future and future of their children in, I don't know, 70 or 100 years ahead, if they will have enough oxygen to breathe or something. And that's my personal motivation. And that's the reason I think that green entrepreneurship, it's maybe much complex and much larger than everyone here maybe thinks at this moment.
Thank you for that. Also long-term vision kind of comes from a very personal concern, but actually goes very far in the future. I think with that, we will launch the first poll statement, and we will just sense check a little bit the atmosphere in the at least Zoom audience. Again, reminder to everyone who is following us on Facebook on the live stream, there will be in the comments a link to the Zoom event. You are more than welcome to join us in Zoom, because in Zoom you can be part of the poll statements and all the voting. So I'm going to just launch the first poll statement that says, green businesses are definitely the future of Western Balkans. And you can answer with yes, no, or somewhat. The answers are anonymous. You don't have to worry. We will not track you down or ask you for any additional input. Any answer is valid, and we will let the poll open, I would say, for 30 seconds or maybe a little bit more. Let's see. So far, 15 answers. I'm expecting a little bit more. 2 more are coming in. Okay. That would be, I think, one person that hasn't voted, but we will forgive. Ah, no, that one person also voted now. That's amazing. So let's look at the results. I hope everyone can see them. Green businesses are definitely the future of Western Balkans. There is a strong yes of 71%. There is none in a no, and there is 29% saying somewhat. So, or in the Balkan version, comme ci, comme ça, as I like to say it. Okay, so in the audience, we have huge trust that green businesses are the future of Western Balkans. Tanya and Irina, I will probably kick this off with you, or was it with Irina and Adela? I don't know, but we start with Irina. She's the green entrepreneur. She's the one that says, I treat planet Earth every day equally as if it's an Earth Day. Let's hear it from you, Irina. What do you think about this? Are green businesses the future of the Western Balkans? Why yes, why not? Sorry, Irina, you are muted. I will have to ask you to unmute yourself because I'm not able to do that on my own.
Sorry.
Now it works. No problem.
Well, I would say that I disagree that is the green entrepreneurship is the future of the Balkans. I would say that is the present. Because when I was starting with my own business 10 years ago, I mean 9 years ago, when I was trying to work as much as I can sustainable and green, it was then it was the future. Now it's not. Now it's normal practice for every business. I would agree that the small businesses are the pioneers of this kind of business and entrepreneurship, but we should all learn together and stay together and try to work as much as we can sustainable.
That's a great point. Adela, I saw that you got excited when I mentioned Tanya or Adela. Adela kind of jumped. So Adela, what is your view on this? Sorry, you are also muted.
I totally agree with Irina that I will try to change this. I will totally agree with Irina that it's also, of course, a future of Western Balkan countries. Because if we agree, and I suppose that majority of us can agree about that, the future of all 6 Western Balkan countries is European Union. And Europe has big plans in going toward green entrepreneurship, and European Union has these plans for till 2030, and in some segments, I suppose, till 2050, to be a leader in preserving our planet. And that's the reason that green entrepreneurship is really matter, because a green entrepreneurship is something that combine necessities that we need in our modern life with preserving our nature and future of planet. Because we cannot forget that every green business is just a business, and green businesses has aim to generate profit for entrepreneur and wages for workers, but not at any cost. And that's the reason that I think large companies can learn a lot from green businesses. But maybe there is a challenge because green businesses are mostly small businesses, and that limits their impact. And that's the reason we have to do something together, all 6 Western Balkan countries, because as I wrote, is this roadmap. That is a great roadmap to Western Balkan that Balkan Green Academy published. In all those 6 countries, we have some different issues, but we have also common issues. And most important of all, is that we have the same goals. And we can do that together.
Very good points. And sorry, Irina, I will come back to you with this one. Adela mentioned something that I find very unique. Regional aspect, collaboration. How is your experience, Irina, working with other entrepreneurs from the region? Has this been helpful for you? Are you feeling like you are connected?
Well, the core in my work is collaboration since the beginning, and I'm always working with different organizations or artists because I believe that together we can change things better. And I can say that from my experience, it's always the great, is the best, because together we can show our vision better, because these steps we should do these steps together, not by ourselves.
Yeah, very true, very true. I think this is a perfect moment to share also in the chat box. I will ask also Spen to share that in social media. One of the reports, first of its kind, that came out very recently by the Balkan Green Foundation, based on the experience with the Balkan Green Academy, and touches on the actually kind of a roadmap of the green entrepreneurship ecosystem in Western Balkans. I'm sharing the link. It's quite a long one, but leads you directly to the PDF. And I actually found it really impressive how many players are interested or connected to this field already, but also how many gaps there are and how many similarities there are between the different countries as such. And with that, I think I will also launch the second poll statement. Tanya, we will hear your voice right after that one, right? So let me try with another statement. The statement this time is, there is a shift in mindset by individuals and institutions across the Balkans in adopting green practices and circular economy methods. Yes, no, or somewhat. The answers are always the same. The statements are different. And so far, we have actually the 3 answers being kind of engaged. For everyone following us live on Facebook, please make sure that you find that comment where you have the link to Zoom, because if you join through Zoom, you will be able to be part of this Zoom statement calls. I leave it for a few more seconds and then I will share the results. It's a very competitive environment when it comes to this answer. The statement is, there is a shift in mindset by individuals and institutions across the Balkans in adopting green practices and circular economy methods. And the result says 50% somewhat, 44% yes, and 6% no. I would be actually very interested to meet the 44% that say yes, because this is a very progressive and interesting experience to follow up on. But the somewhat is also kind of, the winner in this one. And I think with this, I will give the floor to Tanya. Tanya, what is your view on this?
Well, actually, this question, when you posed it, reminded me of my personal experience. And it made me remember the beginning of 2000. I think it was 2004 when I was managing a local civil society organization, a small NGO in Kosjerić, that is a very, very small town, almost village in the Western Serbia, near Bosnia and Herzegovina, actually. And at that time, a colleague of mine initiated an environmental advocacy project to fight against the air pollution in the town, which was caused by the concrete factory. And I can still see the image of the 2 of us. We had many actions. We even mobilized, I don't know, 200 people, which is quite some number in that small town. But we wanted to prove, we were struggling to prove the pollution. And I remember I still have the image of the 2 of us jumping over the fence of the factory to take the sample of the material, petrol coke. I don't know it's the right English term, whatever. It's the fuel that they were burning because we couldn't reach it otherwise. It was illegal, of course. We were the true guerrilla activists to take that piece and bring it to the Faculty of Natural Sciences in Belgrade, actually, to have it analyzed so we can prove that this is the toxic material. And I would like to think that the things have changed and they are more sophisticated now, that we don't need to jump and do these things. But actually what happens now in Serbia is that there are now some people that are doing actually similar guerrilla activism in Stara Planina in the south of Serbia, where the hydropowers put the rivers in the pipes, and they were literally needed to take them out because any other advocacy action or addressing the decision makers didn't work. So in 2020, 15 years after, the same. So my response to this question, actually, that's what I was going to say at the beginning, was yes and no. Not somewhat, but yes and no. And this was maybe to support the no, the no view, what I just shared, because this could speak that the things didn't move much and that there are some people that need to do the revolution in order to change things. But actually, I think speaking about people's mindset, there is no change and there is no shift. What I think moves people towards environmental responsibility is actually if the issue affects them directly. This was the case in our town, and this is the case with these people in the village in Stara Planina. So it concerns them, as you said, Adela, about your children. So it directly affects them, and that is what moves people back then and now. So, and unfortunately, today, there is very much space to worry about the environment. So I think that's why there are some positive trends and there are some positive shifts. And that's where I come to the yes part to support this statement, where I think there really are some changes and there are some positive positive activities. There was a protest called Ecological Uprising last Saturday in Belgrade, which gathered a few thousand people. And speaking about the connection and speaking about how it can unite, environment can unite people, there were people from Bosnia and Herzegovina also speaking at the protest, also river defenders or whatever we could call these people now, because they are doing the same thing there, like these people in Serbia. And it was really massive, and it was quite something, because it actually gathered people with very different backgrounds. You could see people that are left-oriented or right-oriented, or, you know, very, very big variety of groups. But what united them is the care for the planet and the care for the environment. And this is what I've heard also doing this evaluation and speaking with the donor who supported the Balkan Green Academy. This is Balkan Trust for Democracy. They also said that actually their logic to support this project was that they believe that they noticed the trend of environmental movements and environmental groups being very active, being very outspoken. And this is now the area where they want to deliver their support, because they hope that this can actually motivate people in general for activism, for, you know, civic engagement, and for the creation of the social change, which is not maybe only environmental, but the wider, the political, etc. And this is what you can hear from politicians here as well, because next year we will have elections, and of course, politicians already started their campaigns. So, but we have the struggle with opposition, who cannot gather and make it strong enough to beat the current government. So they are looking for the common ground. And they started also to speak that environment could be one of these common grounds where different options, political options could gather around and unite. So all in all, no and yes, yes and no. But on the yes part, also just to mention that speaking about the institutions and companies, of course, you can see some environmental friendly approaches in the companies. I did also work with corporations for corporate philanthropy mostly, and you could notice, particularly among internationals, this comes from global policies. They are introducing some environmental friendly approaches in the CSR, corporate social responsibility policies. And at the end, I mean, 20 years ago, I couldn't have imagined Eco Hostel in the city next to mine, or having Irina here with eco fashion or whatever. So there is a change, of course. There is some new trends.
Thank you, Tanya, for this really overarching answer that went from the streets to the boardrooms and to institutions and individuals. So very, very important aspects you covered. Maybe as an addition to this statement, because we have few more minutes that we could spend on this one, I want to ask Irina a question around the mindset shift or the influence of the pandemic to the mindset shift. Do you see any change there, Irina?
Yeah, there is a big change in the fashion part, in my world. I can say, for example, in 2013, I was having my first sustainable collection. It was everything organic. It was printed with digital print that is not using water, no resources. It was sustainable as much as it can for that year. And when I was talking to my clients and explaining them this is a shirt made of sustainable eco-organic fabric with digital colors, all that, and they were like, okay, I don't care. But now, in the past year and a half or 2 years, while we are living in the pandemic, they are asking me themselves, is this shirt made of organic fabric, or where is this fabric produced? Or what are the colors used? Are they eco-friendly? And it's really nice and interesting to see all this changing in the mind.
I'm very happy to hear that there is that kind of conscious consumerism developing, and I'm very glad that you are experiencing it in Macedonia even. So that's pretty amazing. I think I will use just a few seconds to remind everyone who is watching us on live stream on Facebook to still come to the Zoom link if they can, because we have few more polling statements where we would love to hear your voice. And I will just launch the third one where Adela, be ready afterwards. You will go next to give us a comment on this one. I find this one particularly interesting. And the poll statement is, the Western Balkan region offers great support for setting up and running green businesses. I am gonna leave this one for a few seconds. I already have 15 answers, I think. So it's quite fast. A lot of no's coming in, somewhat as well. Let's see what the answer will be, but hoping to see some more yeses maybe. Let's see. I am waiting for 20% of the audience, so few more answers. If you are with us on Zoom, please click just one button, yes, no, or somewhat. And with that, I'm gonna end the poll and share the results. Interesting, again, quite competitive results between the no and somewhat this time. So we have a stronger no, 53%. People believe that Western Balkan does not offer great support. Somewhat, probably they think 40% believe that there is some support. Maybe it's not the great one, but there is some support. Let's pass it on to Adela. What is your view around this?
I voted somewhat, and some support. Of course, I talk about primarily about Bosnia and Herzegovina, but I suppose it's similar. Some support through several funds, donors, and organizations exists, but I think it's not enough, and it's too fragmented. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have a lot of preconditions that nature gives us. Natural resources are our huge advantage, but our country doesn't have green economy strategy. And I think that's the biggest issue here. Bosnia, for example, has a huge hydro potential for solar energy, wind energy, biomass energy, even geothermal energy. 53% of our country is covered by forests. We have enough fertile land for food production, but all these potentials are very poorly used. Because Bosnia and Herzegovina was for almost 100 years, I think, systematically directed to be industrial country engaged in mining, production of metals, textiles, wood, and food and salt. And last 100 years, our country has been getting about 65% of our energy from coal. And that's our major problem about green economy in Bosnia and Herzegovina, because it is coal that makes our country energy independent. And we have problem to shift that in industry and in minds and hearts of people. Of course, the coal makes that our air in winter is extremely polluted, and that's one of the biggest problem in our country. About the support from Bosnian government, I think that our country needs to provide to green businesses much more better support, including infrastructure, financial support, tax relief, education, especially education through our public education system, because that should be better. From my personal experience, because I was someone that spent almost 13 years in financial institutions, and our banks promote and encourage development of green ideas and green businesses, but only through their social responsibility programs, through small grants. But when one of our green businesses wants to apply for a loan, there is a little chance that green business can get favorable loans. And that's also a big issue. I'm not sure that we can move forward in green economy based on small green businesses. I think that our governments in all 6 Western Balkan countries have to systematically support large companies to become green companies or greener.
Very, very important points, Adela. Thank you for sharing that. I would just have one last question when it comes to your work in Mosaic. I know that you've done a lot of regional programs. You're also part of the Balkan Green Ideas, which is a regional green competition. When it comes to setting up businesses and actually running green businesses, is there something that you see as a major kind of barrier for entrepreneurs? Is it the funding? Is it, you mentioned a little bit the capacity building, but is there anything that in your work you would like to additionally highlight?
Through all our programs in Mosaic Foundation, Youth Bank, Startup Studio, Impact and Philanthropy, we contribute to the field of capacity building, especially through mentoring and giving capital. And we give community support to all entrepreneurship of young people, including green entrepreneurship, through our community Lonac Pro, which has this morning about 60,500 registered people. We have that network to support. It's really difficult for me to answer what I need in Mosaic Foundation to help this green entrepreneurship, because what I need, it's not from Mosaic Foundation, it's outside. And we really need everything that our entrepreneur needs. And that is tax relief, first of all, and that is better financing, because we have a limited grants and limited funds. And everything I previously said that our entrepreneur need, that would make my job easier.
Thank you, Adela. Irina, what do you think about this? You're the entrepreneur in the panel, so I will always go back to you. Does this resonate with you, what Adela says?
Yes, I agree with everything that she said, but also I must share my experience. From my country as a green business, I haven't seen any plus. I must be honest about it. But my motto is, if you should not wait, you should do it yourself. And that's why whenever I can, I'm trying to speak about it, educate young students or my colleagues as much as I can, the public, the media, whenever I can, because we must talk about these topics. And I'm very happy that I'm seeing a bit changes in the opinions and more space in the media, especially about these topics. But in the fashion world, in the past 2-3 years, sustainability is becoming a trend, and that is not really a good thing. And there are many new brands, overnight brands, that are using the words eco-friendly, recycled, sustainable, and they are not really. So all the greenwashing is a very, very big problem, not only for Macedonia, I mean from the Balkans and the whole world.
Thank you for mentioning that, Irina. And I think just a note to everyone in the audience, if you get the chance to open the roadmap, you will see that in the Western Balkans, there are 50 actually mapped institutions, accelerators, incubators in the region that are helping with setting up green businesses. The interesting part is that when you talk to entrepreneurs, many of them have not been even aware that this kind of support mechanisms already exist. So I would definitely ask Adela, please share a link in the chat box if you have, to Lonac or any other of these initiatives that you mentioned. Irina as well, if you have anything that you want to share, especially related to supporting your business, this would be a chance to also promote it. And of course, Tanya or anyone from the Balkan Green Foundation as well, Please share some links if you have to the Balkan Green Academy or any other opportunities that are coming up. By the end of the event, I will also share a link to the Open Balkan Green Ideas competition that is now still running in several countries of the region. This is a competition where if you have a green idea, you are able to get access not only to mentorship and incubation, but also to some funding. So let's make those opportunities visible, but I agree that there is space for more improvement as well. So let's work on that together. I'm gonna move on now to the next polling statement, and this one will go a little bit more into the needs and what we already kind of discussed, but let's launch it. Green entrepreneurs in Western Balkans need capacity building and community support most of all. I'm actually very interested to see what the results of this poll will be, simply because many times when I've had a chance to work with green entrepreneurs, most of them say the only thing we need is funding. But actually, if you start working on their investment readiness, you realize that there is a lot of other aspects that need to come together as well. So far, a lot of yes answers, but please, everyone who is on Zoom with us, please take the chance to click one answer, yes, no, or somewhat. I'm gonna end the poll in a few seconds, and I'm gonna share again kind of very interesting results. We have 87% yes. Capacity building and community support is what green entrepreneurs need most of all in Western Balkans. Somewhat 13%, but surprisingly for me, 0% or no. Interesting to discuss. Tanya, over to you. What is your view on this?
Thank you, Bistra. Yeah, I think definitely, yes. I didn't think for a second to respond to this question. All my experience of working from the perspective of capacity building a consultant with civil society, particularly in the Balkans, proves that, and this is what people told me. Actually, it's not only my opinion, including this evaluation as well, because we asked people that participated at the Green Academy, and they needed different kinds of support. And what would that be? I made a small classification of things, and I think the priority would definitely be to the encouragement at the first place, to support people to at all start something and start to deal with the business, with the entrepreneurship at all, because it's not easy, it takes time. And the economic situation is not the perfect one in our region. So it is courageous, I think, to start it at all. So all these startup programs, I think, are very important. And what could be like the green ideas, for example, or the credits that, the loans that Adela mentioned, and there are Erste Bank, I believe, loans in Serbia. I will share the link later. But the trap there is that actually, as you better know better than me, people that started their businesses, it really takes time until the moment you developed it and you get the profit. So sometimes this startup support is not sufficient, and there needs to be a continuity in support. And for this encouragement that I mentioned, to persist in your intentions, what people said, and I really think it makes sense, is that peer support is important. So they mentioned that having the opportunity to talk to peers, to talk to other people that initiated similar businesses and started it is very important, this exchange and mutual encouragement. And speaking about specific skills and knowledge, what we concluded in the evaluation was that definitely business planning and the very development of a business is something that is absolutely needed almost for everyone, no matter which phase of business development one is. And this business canvas that I believe you presented, Bistra, at the training, was very much mentioned. So people need concrete, specific skills to develop business, and they appreciated as well this one-on-one mentorship support as well, where you have a very experienced mentor who guides you through the process of clarifying your idea, doing the research, creating the business plan, etc. So you actually shape it a very solid plan. Also, marketing and sales is something, no matter if it's products or services, is something that is usually a weak point. And the green part, and this is very important, and people are usually enthusiastic at the beginning about the green components, but when they start in this severe business environment, they struggle to survive and they focus on profit and product quality or whatever. So this green component could be lost over time. That's what happens, what people shared with us, that over time you lose this green component, and this could be a challenge. So how to keep it green all the time. And maybe just one more thing. It was an interesting point also in the evaluation that there was a kind of all the time the balance between the social impact and business development. So it seems that if people came from civic engagement surrounding, they lacked a business mindset or business skills, or if they came as entrepreneurs, then they lacked the experience in civic engagement. So both is needed, actually, in terms of support and capacity building. Both is needed, both creating the awareness on the social impact and the importance to do the social change, as well as a very tangible business skills. And this is where I think the secret formula is, how to make actually local entrepreneurs become motivated to get also socially engaged and vice versa. And so this balance and this connection could be a secret to a success.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that in such a summarized way. It's such a really a complex element as well, not very easy to crack or practice even on daily level, I would say. And for businesses, profitability is still number one kind of focus. And then you have all the other elements that are also equally complex, like making profit. But very, very well shared, Tanya. Thank you. And I think, Adela, I would like to hear also your view in this part, especially because you already reflected quite a lot on what you do as Mosaic Foundation, but also what you've observed in your personal career around green businesses. I would like to just maybe open up a little bit to your view when it comes to capacity building. We heard now from Tanya, business development. Maybe you can touch upon a little bit also the investment readiness. So not so early stage, but also a little bit more advanced, let's say, business ideas. Anything that you could share in that direction of, gaps that we could fill up, gaps that we should focus on.
Okay, first of all, I put 2 links on our pages for our people that are following us, and I hope that they will register on Lonac Pro and check our pages. I really totally agree with Tanya, and she beautifully said that the main question is that balance between profit, sustainability, and environment. And that's hard to do. That's not easy. Perhaps the solution is can be observed in 3 steps. First of all, to help green concept ideas become green startups. And that is already being partially done by Balkan Green Foundation with partners through this Balkan Green Ideas project. That's the first step, and I think there is a lot of organization that do something about that first step. Second step should be to help small green businesses grow and become big, or maybe to live, because I don't know, do you know, but about 70%, something like that, I'm not sure about percent, about 70% startups, especially green startups, is dead after 3 years of existing. And we have to help those startups to survive. That is what Mosaic Foundation, among us, do to our companies. That's the second step. And the third is something that I mentioned before, to help big businesses and corporations to become greener and to understand other small green businesses and to cooperate with small green businesses. Because there is a challenge for green businesses to cooperate with huge corporations that sometimes think that it's enough to give something through their social responsibility projects, and that's enough. And that's not. We should show them that it's not enough. And I want to say something about personal motivation, because this is. We have to show people that this is personal question for all of us. This is not something that is going to be in 100 years or 200 years. Climate change and all issues that we will have, it's in short term, 5, 10, 20 years. And that's the reason that capacity building is really, and community support really matter.
Very well said, Adela. And I think one aspect that we have to also keep in mind is, I think, the climate changed already. We are now in a climate crisis. So we should all be aware that the time has passed, that we can actually mitigate or kind of manage the climate change. We are now in a climate crisis. So the situation is not improving very fast. I do believe, though, that any small business, any small example of showing how you can do profit, do social good, and do green good is very relevant. But at the same time, I agree, Adela, with both of Tanya and you. You've highlighted the capacity building aspect, but also the need for bigger organizations and companies to really stand up for this and show as well commitment to these issues and actually that commitment to change something. But definitely with intermediary organizations like Mosaic Fundacja or other organizations that we have also present with us today, this is a very, very relevant role to play, especially in the region. I would like to invite people to share comments and questions. I already received some direct messages, so I just want to highlight there is one question in the chat box, but also for everyone else who asked me whether they can share some useful links or comments in the chat box, please do so. If you are personally working on something in green entrepreneurship, or you have something that you think others should read or comment on, please use the chance. I think we are all quite like-minded people gathered at this event. So there is a lot of interest and inspiration to be shared. I have a question here that may go to Irina, actually, and I will post it right away. Irina, probably you saw it in the chat box, but do you think green businesses are slowed down by the pandemic?
Yes, I think the whole world was slowed down. So yes, I can say from my point of view and from my business, from the fashion world, we know now that there are no celebrations, no proms, no weddings. So the creative side of my business is, I can say, on a standby, but I'm happy that I'm working and I'm part of many different projects. The last project that I can mention is when I was working with students from a school here with a hearing impairment. So it was very interesting, and we're working on sustainability using a textile waste from the local factories here. And we were producing a small collection that would be shown in May. I will share the links if anyone is interested about it. So I was happy in this whole pandemic that I'm working on the social impact and also the environmental impact. So I'm working with many different organizations. So I was focused mostly on this part, but not on the creative part.
Thank you, Irina. Maybe I will have one additional question for you that relates also to the topic and the poll statement we had already. What was your personal experience in starting your business? Can you share with us that?
Well, when I finished my master's studies, because I was studying in Italy, I get back here, and everyone was telling to me, "Why did you come back from Italy? Why didn't you stay in Italy?" And my answer all the time was because I like to sell my fashion to my people, and that's what I'm trying to do in the past 9 years. But the biggest challenge was to start the business, because when I first wanted to register my company, I didn't know how to do that, and because my side is the creative side, is not the business side when you're a beginner. And when I first opened the laws how to do that, the first side was how much money you will need to pay if something is not okay. And that was like very not encouraging to start something. But I was hearing the support from my family. I think that is the most important part. And after that, I was working as much as I can on different projects, with different people. And I'm thankful to be where I am now 9 years later.
Irina, that's such a powerful story. I can only, it resonates with me because in the past it was very difficult really to also get the right information to set up a business. I think we've progressed a lot in that sense, at least for the startup ecosystem in the region. But when it comes to green businesses, I think there is still space for a lot of encouragement and campaigning. And your story.
Yeah, but you should. You should always ask. There is one problem on the Balkans. Everyone thinks that knows everything, and everyone is an expert in everything. And no, we are not. You should ask. You're not stupid if you ask. You're not dumb if you ask. You should ask. If you feel that the business side is not your strong side, you should learn about it. You should consult. You should get a consultant or I don't know, some course or whatever is good for you and your business in the end. Feel free to ask.
Very good point, Irina, and also applies to our audience who is following us on Facebook or on Zoom. Please ask. There are no stupid questions.
Please ask, yeah.
Anything that you want to know, we are here with you for another 30 minutes maybe, and we have a few more polling statements to go through. But if you have any questions, really feel free to ask, whether in comments or in a direct message to me or whoever. I would be happy to get that question across to the speakers. I will now, inspired by also Irina and a little bit the context of the International Fashion Week, I think, or Fashion Revolution, or I'm not sure how is it called, but this week there is a lot happening globally around fashion. So this next polling statement will be actually related to that industry. And it's a very simple one. I'm gonna just launch it. And it says, fashion is all about aesthetics. Yes, no, or somewhat. I can see already a number of votes jumping on the no, few on the somewhat. I don't see any yeses yet, but I'll leave it for a few more seconds so that we can capture the votes of everyone. Fashion is all about aesthetics. We have, I think, 83% of the audience voted, so I'm just gonna share the results. 53%. No, fashion is not all about aesthetics. 47%, fashion is somewhat all about aesthetics. Interesting. I'm gonna start with Irina on this one. I know Irina has spoken up quite a lot in the past 5 minutes, but I think this is definitely something where we wanna hear your view, Irina. And Tanya and Adela, you get ready as well. You will have a chance to comment on this one too. Irina?
I would really like to someone that would somewhat to share their experience and their thoughts about it, because I'm saying like hard no. My whole work is showing that fashion is not all about aesthetics, because I'm part of different projects beside my collections. I'm trying to use my influence as much as I can, and not only on the environmental part, but also on the social part. Maybe the core here is because I was, while I was studying, and then in my second year, I was part of the NGO sector in Macedonia. And that's why I'm always saying to everyone, you must be part of the NGO sector in some part of your life, because you will learn a lot. I was part of the Free Hugs campaign in Macedonia. We were hugging every Saturday, but we were also making different humanitarian parties where we were collecting money for children in need. For 10 years ago, that was a big thing because we were not having the power of social media as we do now. And all this experience helped me to shape my career in a way to show that fashion is not only about nice dresses and parties and going out and fashion shows, but fashion can really change the world, and together we can make a better world. I can share my last collection. I was working with Tree Banks. That is a platform so with every bought piece from my collection, we're planting tree for you. So that is some small change that I can make and gratitude to my country. I'm also working closely with Lica Vlica, that is a street magazine here. And we're working on different projects to help marginalized groups that are usually selling this magazine. I'm also working on many educational projects because I believe that fashion students should start to work sustainable from the beginning of their studies, because after that it will become like normal part of their work. So that is my story.
Very
about
nice.
that fashion is not all about aesthetics.
Absolutely, and you're the expert to this. You light up so much when you talk about this topic. I love your energy, Irina. I'm just going to share. I know you're connecting from phone, so you can't type so much. I'm just sharing some links to Tree Banks and also to your Facebook page, so people can follow you and understand more about your business. Tanya, Adela, I don't know how close fashion is to your heart, but it's interesting to comment on this. Is fashion all about aesthetics?
Yeah, I'm not an expert. Definitely, I can talk from personal perspective. And I happen to have actually two very close friends who are also fashion designers. One actually in Skopje in Macedonia, and another one was in New York. She's from Serbia. She was in New York. Now she's in Texas. And I think it's not definitely not all about the aesthetic. And both of them, I think, are trying to practice some responsibility with the materials that they are using, etc. And I also try lately to buy more from them and from people like Irina than in these big global shops. And I wanted to make a joke at the beginning. It's not only about the aesthetics. For me, it's also about feeling very comfortable. I don't know if it comes with the age or whatever, but feeling comfortable is becoming for me now a priority, number one criteria when I choose something. And I do fall under this criteria, very stereotypic attitude that women are crazy about shoes. I am definitely. But what I've noticed lately, probably also coming with the age, that I wear less and less of them. So I might be actually more responsible by having less in the future. That will be the challenge. I would like some advice from Irina, how to balance this, how to make the balance there. I would like to have many, but then too many stuff is not really good. That's what I've learned with the age. So this is my thinking about fashion at the moment.
Less is always more. So
less is more. Absolutely. Yes, you said it very well. That's what I mean. But it's challenging. It's challenging.
And about the comfortability, I think that it's not only with the age, but it's one of the pandemic silver lining.
Ah, okay. So I fit in some trend. Good for me.
Irina, thank you for making this clear, because I was also going to say, like, I'm also about comfortable clothes lately. I don't know if it's age or whatever it is. But I have to say also another part that really resonates with me around fashion is that 10 years ago, I can say that for my taste, most of the sustainable fashion was really ugly. I couldn't relate to it. Nowadays, there are so many options. It's really maybe a little bit still on the high end side of the pricing. So we have to be aware of that. But I would rather save for a few months and not buy a piece and then buy a sustainable fashion piece. And I think that makes the whole sense because you are wearing a story, you're wearing the meaning of it. It's not only the aesthetics. But Adela, over to you. I see you're unmuted and ready.
I am opposite of that stereotype about women and shoes. I buy my clothes maybe 3 times a year, and it's not about age for me. Sorry. But I think that this question, first of all, fashion is not just aesthetics 100%. And maybe Irina is the proof for that. Fashion is statement for me, is statement of the one who produces it and or one who wears it, because I will never wear animal fur or plastic or something like that. But I think that this statement about fashion is related to another question about how much one individual can contribute to green economy. And my answer is a lot, a huge amount of things that we personally can do through fashion and through our other choices to improve green economy and to help green entrepreneurship. If we start recycling more, if we reduce our consumption, less shoes, for example, if we walk more and drive less, and I think that pandemic initiated some kind of this motivation to do that, and that's a good part. And fashion is really much more because it is a whole. Fashion can be a whole system that will support women, minorities, people with disabilities as a workforce. Because I'm really concerned when I buying my clothes. I'm really concerned who is the person and in which conditions that person produced that. What is the wage of that person? And I think that we should work that a lot of people should be concerned about that issues.
Yeah, great point, Adela. I think I saw one, like a poster, or it was part of some fashion campaign that said, you pay $5 for maybe an H&M or some other global brand, a t-shirt, but someone else pays the rest. So maybe it's not your money that you spend on it, but actually someone else pays for it, for you to get it for such a cheap price.
Yeah,
so
I would like to...
Yeah, Irina, go.
To add something here, you said that sustainable fashion is still quite like a luxury for most of the people. It's not a luxury, that's the real price of the items.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I was heading to say, that when you see the real cost and real price of things, you tend to think it's, totally differently. And this is really an important aspect to be highlighted. I think we have one comment in the chat box that I also want to loop in at this point, which is related to the bubble, or let's say the like-minded people. We are now talking mostly as well in this audience, I think, to people that are kind of value-wise very similar to what we believe in, very similar in our intentions, in our purpose in life. But what would the experts say, that's you, on how to reach outside the bubble? Maybe Irina, you can talk a little bit from your point of view around consumers, and Tanya, Adela, in your experiences as well with other organizations or, I don't know, institutions you work with.
Well, you should speak and educate as much as you can wherever you can. Like when you're drinking coffee with your best friend, or when you're drinking, I don't know, where you're going out, or if you're having an interview somewhere for some TV, or I don't know. I'm using that strategy, but also it's nice when you will find the like-minded people. Like I'm now part of the Fashion Revolution Macedonia. This week is the Fashion Revolution week, and I will invite everyone to join this movement, where we're talking as much as we can and loud as we can for the fashion industry. And I'm really happy that for the Macedonian part this year, we are very active, mostly on the social media because of the situation. And we're trying to educate the public as much as we can. So that's how we are reaching to bigger audience. We are not only following like-minded people. We talked with many designers here that are not really working sustainable, but we know that their workers are working in okay conditions and everything is okay on that side. And with this way, we're reaching more and more people. So you should talk all the time.
Thank you, Irina. Tanya, anything to add on this?
I very much agree, and I think is the best way is one person at a time, starting from our family to neighbors to I don't know, people that are around us. And as I was mentioning in my first addressing, I think it is changing a bit, maybe not with the green businesses that much, but in the wider environmental field. As I said, here in Serbia, we managed to gather people with very different backgrounds who would be opponents in many different things, but they came to street together for the clean air and environment.
Yeah, that's amazing to see and experience. I'm actually following very closely the green movement now in Serbia. Quite exemplary. Adela, anything to add from your side on this?
I want to say that every significant change becomes with education. And that's really the most important part. As far as a Startup Studio and Mosaic Foundation, we are cooperating with 51 cities and municipalities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I can say that there is a progress about these questions that we are talking about today. But of course, we have to be examples in our lives to our children, to our colleagues, to everyone, and to do that every day and to make it personal.
Thank you, Adela. Very nice words. I think in the meantime, we got a comment on social media that we are running an amazing session. Kudos to the speakers. You've been very clear, precise, very inspiring. And there is a question from the same person, Maria Arsiska. Thank you for the question. It says, what do you think about the greenwashing of the big fashion brands such as H&M? I think with the fashion topic, we will go to Irina, but I would ask the same question a little bit reframed to Tanya and Adela as well. What do we do with greenwashing of other companies that are bigger? They want to be part of the movement, but it's not actually true. It's actually only greenwashing. Irina, over to you first.
Yeah, this week we are waiting for the transparency index of the fashion revolution. I don't know, they are late this year. I don't know what's happening, but usually this helps us to see from which brands is good to buy. Or there are many apps like Good On You where you can check is that brand is working okay and is it good for you to buy from them. These big brands are trying to make some changes. H&M has a program with recyclability or something like that. But I think, yeah, it's greenwashing yet. I mean, still it's greenwashing. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't buy from anyone. If you like something, yes, it's okay, you can buy something. That doesn't mean that you should sacrifice and only wear your grandma clothes and that's it. You should not buy anything. I mean, that's not the point. But you should be aware, and when there is a discount, you can buy only one item, not 5 items. Or you can borrow something from your friend, or you can, if you're not wearing some dress, you can donate it to someone. To try to think as much as you can open-minded. For the big brands, I think you should be careful. That's my opinion. I can't say that they are working perfectly. I can't say that they are making, they're working with great fabrics. If there is a line that is conscious, that you should buy only from this line. If you like something, yeah, it's okay, you can buy, but you should be aware and be careful.
Thank you, Irina. Very also politically correct, kind of diplomatic way of an opinion. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Tanya.
Yeah, I was actually, I worked with one organization last week, and I learned from them about this topic a little bit. This is the Center for Politics of Emancipation. In any case, they are the part of this Clean Clothes campaign, the global one, which deals with the workers' rights, labor rights, actually. And now they are in the campaign of the minimum wage, the promotion of the minimum wage in Serbia and in Eastern Europe. And what I've learned from them, and I was quite shocked that what these big brands do sometimes, because, you know, when you see something made in, I don't know, India or whatever, so China, you would guess that it's how would they treat the labor. But the new trick, or I don't know if it's new, but there is a trick that they put it sometimes made in Europe, which makes you think it's all fine and it's all by the standards, and which has to do with our region, actually. Probably it's produced here or in Bosnia or wherever, where there is the same system of, or a little bit better, but still very bad way of treating the working force. And it's definitely a washing. It's definitely a washing. So I wanted to share this. I don't know if I interpreted it very well because it's not my expertise, but they shared there is, and they shared it with me, and I was like quite surprised. So it's how to say, there are many layers that we need to think about if something is really responsible and by the standards that we would like to see towards the environment, and also the social aspect of people.
Yeah, very surprising, I have to say, Tanya. I also haven't heard of this trend, but very worrying as well and concerning. So good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Adela.
About this question, I will not be politically correct. I do not wear brands. That's my answer. And I'm really not an expert on this, but I have a lot of knowledge about this that Tanya mentioned about labor in wages and low wages in textile industry, for example, in Bosnia. That's familiar with me. I think that maybe answer is in less consumption, because we really, that Irina said, if I need a shirt, I need maybe 5. I don't need 10 shirts or something like that.
Yeah,
that's my answer. I'm not an expert for fashion and for.
No, I think that unfortunately, Adela, it's not only in the fashion industry that greenwashing is happening. That's also the sad truth.
Yes,
but absolutely. I think that fashion is something that we are consuming almost on daily, weekly basis, and it's it goes very much in the direction what you shared of this consumerism. We should be very conscious in that sense as well, and limiting our consumerism, but also being aware of the background of the piece, etc. It would be really important. I will launch the last poll we have for today, and then I will go back also to the chat because I see there is a lot of buzz happening there. But the last poll statement goes a little bit in a direction of, I would say, individual actions as such. So the statement says, every system change starts with us, and green practices depend on our individual choices as human beings. Yes, no, or somewhat. You will not be judged if you use a no, because many people also believe that systemic change is the one that we need first, top to bottom. Some think that both are needed, some think that bottom up is the only way. So let's see what's in the audience with us today. We have half of the audience voting already, but I would like to see more votes. I'm going to leave it for 10 more seconds. Please, if you are with me on Zoom, click a yes or a no or a somewhat. And let's end the poll and share the results. We have 62% of a yes, 31% of somewhat, and 8% no. Very interesting results. Maybe this was the most interesting result for me. Let's hear it from our speakers. I would like to maybe start this time with Tanya, if you feel okay. And then we go to Irina, then we go to Adela, and then I will roll some of the chat questions as well. Tanya, over to you.
Wow, very, very challenging task for me. Okay, this is a very, I think it's actually a key issue to all the changes that we want to see in the society. And I'm working very much with many civil society organizations that want to create this social change. And I'm seeing different approaches in terms of how the change happens, the so-called theory of change. How do we believe that change happens? And my response to this was somewhat, or actually in the beginning, I think it's both. I think it's both bottom up and top down. I'm a little bit more, how to say, familiar or fond of a bottom-up approach. Naturally, I'm coming from a small community. I used to run a grassroots organization. I used to work with Trag Foundation, which has and promotes this approach, as I understand it, so that the change happens from the community, actually from people who gather and start some initiatives, and then this is how the impact is made. But of course, we all live in systems, in the states, and framed by some policies and the rule of law. And I think actually both is important. It's just a matter. I think we all have a place to the role to play in here. I think. If I would think of the players who could create the change, I think it's both. It's both these movements and these people that are going out there and digging the pipes, and also those think tanks or policymakers and decision makers. I think it's actually both. If I would need to choose, I would go more for grassroots and activists and bottom up. And this was my answer to this bubble. I can see the person here that is very persistent about the bubble, and I understand why. I absolutely understand why. I think I live in a bubble. I'm trying to open my eyes from time to time and to face the reality more and to meet with different people. This is the fact. But as I said earlier, how we can, I think it's one person at a time, as I said. If you manage to change the view or one behavior of your neighbor, I don't know, to throw the garbage in a different way or to treat the child in a different way or whatever, I think this is already a change.
Thank you, Tanya. Very inspiring. And with that, I will leave it now to Irina to see what she can add to that. Irina, are you more for the bottom-up approach or system approach, or?
I think everyone should make something. As I said in the beginning, baby steps. That's really important. I totally agree with everything that Tanya said. At first, it's enough. It's a beginning. If we are going to the market with a tote bag, that's some start. Or if we are bringing a reusable cup or stuff like that, that is mostly nothing, but it's something. We should try something, or to buy only one piece when there is a discount, or to buy from a sustainable brand, from a designer, from a small brand, local production, to ask the brand who made my clothes and what's in my clothes. That is all this activism, a kind of activism. It's a very big step if we are all making it. If I'm making, my best friend is making, her friend, we can make a bigger step and bigger change.
Great, thank you, Irina. Very inspiring as well. I think aligns very much with Tanya. Tanya is also unmuting. I think she wants to add to this.
I would
Adela
like
as well. Go ahead.
Adela, maybe. I have some thought now. Yeah.
Tanya, do you want to say something?
Do you want to continue, Adela? Or?
Okay, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I just want to add.
Sorry, there might be a little bit of a delay between you two. So let me as a moderator maybe give the floor to Adela first, and then Tanya, you go after. Is that okay?
Thank you, Bistra. I will be short. I think that we should live giving example. it's nice to educate people. It's nice to talk all day about environment, about labor, about a lot of problems in the world. But sometimes when I am totally quiet, I'm talking about from my personal experience, I'm totally quiet. For example, decide one morning to go outside totally alone and to clean snow, only person that day to clean snow in front of my building. And I do not talk with anyone. And people start to going outside to help me because they are embarrassed not to do that. And that's maybe the example how to act. Of course, education is very important. Of course, we have to talk a lot, but we should individually contribute as far as we can.
Thank you, Adela. Leading by example. You gave such an interesting, actually, very small example, but very important one. Tanya, over to you. I know you were very eager to share something.
Yes, and you will understand why now. I got very excited, and sorry, Adela, for interrupting you. Because I just remembered something that my niece told me. I have a niece in Canada. She's now 9 years old, and she's obsessed with astronomy. So she's aware, I don't know, they have ecology or something in the school. She's aware of the issues to some extent, of course. And now she's doing the research if and how it would be possible that people move to another planet. She's exploring Mars. And she told me, okay, I'm planning. She sent me some links to, have a look at it from NASA site. And she told me, I'm going to send some drones to Mars and see if there's water, if it's possible to make life there. And I said, but it will not be possible to move all people there. And I said, but how we are going to decide who is going to go to this perfect planet and who will stay here? And she told me, well, everyone who contributed with something, who did the research, who thought, who brought some things, taking from here to there, both the physical work and the research work and everything, everyone who contributed with something, he or she could go. And the rest will stay. I don't know if this is fair, but speaking about this, I think we all have some responsibility and we should contribute. And I very much liked Adela's point at the end about the education. In order to be able for all of us to take the responsibility, we need to be informed and we need to be educated, and then we again go back to this circle. Sorry, I love her very much. When I remembered, I needed to share it.
Beautiful story, Tanya. Thank you for sharing it. And I want to wrap up a little bit also what's happening in the chat box. We've seen some short documentary as well shared around fast fashion. So if anyone is interested in that, please check the chat box. There is also Christina comment about the bubble and the importance of H&M actually doing something around recycling and raising awareness in Europe around the waste management. So kind of importance of the big players as well, jumping on this road, whether it's greenwashing or not. We have to be careful on that, but using their power to talk to many different groups and outreach to the people outside of the bubble, definitely important. And then we have one question from Baton Isichi, which is on Facebook, but for this one, because it's a very big one and it's directed to Irina. Irina, I will just ask you if you can connect on Facebook right after the event, because we have 2 minutes to close the event, and just writtenly reply to Baton. I think that would be the best. The question is, how does your business contribute to the circular economy directly or indirectly? And as well, what are the challenges encountered in setting up a green business? I think we talked about it a little bit, but maybe for Baton, you can also answer a little bit in more details. So just go to the Balkan Green Foundation where the live stream is, and you will be able to respond in the comment to that question. I think as wrap-up words, these were very inspiring words that I heard from Adela, Tanya, and Irina. And with this, I really don't want to take any minute more from the audience that is with us today. We said 90 minutes, and we tried to make the best out of these 90 minutes so that now you can ideally, hopefully, close your laptops and open a window whenever you are, or go into a garden, breathe a little bit some clean air, praise planet Earth, celebrate the day in some way that is also good for the environment and not only for our brains and bodies. And I would like to give a round of a virtual applause to Adela, Tanya, and Irina for being definitely very inspiring women leaders, and continue your amazing work. I see a lot of icons in Zoom of an applause to all of you. And I really hope that we will host more and more events of this kind. I now see really the need for this. And I also would encourage everyone involved, especially Balkan Green Foundation, Balkan Trust for Democracy, USAID, and all the partners behind this type of events to continue their amazing work. This is something we need. And I can confirm now that green businesses are the future of the Balkans. I hope we managed to persuade you in that as well. Thank you again, Irina, Tanya, Adela. See you in another context. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.